go. You ain't gotta ask me. We can hit the road, got room in the backseat. Boys from the back street, come so far just singing over rap beats. See you on the way up, only looking down when we're seeing where we came from. You ain't gotta wait up, never gonna slow back down. There's no stopping now, they can't take us down. There's no reason to fight this feeling, 'cause I love this life. Yeah, it feels alright. And there's no reason to stop believing, 'cause I love this life. And the future's bright. And there's no reason to fight this feeling. Yeah, I love this life. 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 I won't wait around for the curtain fall. Life is not a race, it's all one big show. I can see it now that the truth is told. Feels like letting go, 'cause I love this life. Yeah, it feels alright. And there's no reason to stop believing, 'cause I love this life. And the future's bright. And there's no reason to fight this feeling. Yeah, I love this life. 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 Cause I love this life. Yeah, it feels alright. And there's no reason to fight this feeling, 'cause I love this life. Yeah, it feels alright. And the future's bright. Yeah, it feels alright. Yeah, I love this life. Yeah, I love this life. Yeah, I love this life. Woo! Yeah. Ooh, yeah. I'm feeling like a brand new me. Brand new, brand new. Brand new, brand new. I blew away the clouds I was standing under. Traded all my rainy days for a little summer. I fly so high right now that I might not come back down. Dancing to my own beat, cherry on the top, sweet. Everything around me is looking up. If life is what you make it, I'ma celebrate it. I'm feeling like a brand new me. For the very first time, I'm not where I'm meant to be. I'ma tell everybody I'm feeling like a brand new.
There we go. Tech issue. What's going on, guys? How's
What up?
everyone doing?
What up?
Can everybody hear me, see me okay?
I am loud and clear.
Sweet. We got Hakeem, one of our account managers at Master Filmmaker. We got Evan, one of our coaches. I like the new setup, Evan. It looks great.
Trying new things.
Dude, I love it. It's sick. You got to change it up every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about, I want to kind of focus on one topic and then we'll kind of go from there. But I want to focus on like why we don't send proposals, right? And so why we don't just send a proposal when someone asks for it, and what we should do instead. And then we'll kind of just branch off from there. So if you guys have questions, drop them down below in the comments here. We're live on YouTube. If you're on Instagram over here, hop on YouTube. You can ask questions. We'll bring the questions up. We'll answer the questions. But what is going on, everyone? Evan, how are you, man?
Dude, I'm good. I am working through a Thursday. Had a dentist appointment for my daughter.
Fun.
And now I'm here.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, let's talk about the proposal thing. So like a lot of people are like, you know, a client asks them to send a proposal. They say, hey, just send this over to me. We want to know what this looks like. Like, I guess, Evan, maybe start with your take. Like, why should we not just send them a proposal? Because that's kind of the next logical thing people would do, right?
Yeah. I mean, so there's like just two main words that kind of come to mind. And number one, it's context and leverage. You give them no context with a form, you know, however you lay it out, and you lose all of your leverage in any kind of decision-making process that they might have to go through. I mean, that's the easiest way that I can kind of explain it. But because a lot of people are coming to us not as experts, not as anybody that knows anything about what it is that we do, right? And we have to generally walk them through what that path looks like, and have them tell themselves why this is the best path forward for them.
That makes sense. 100%. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot of people are like, hey, I think it'd be good to send a proposal because they want it. But at the end of the day, that can really shoot you in the foot and really push you, push you into a place where like they're comparing you on price and they may have a stack of other proposals from other people that they are then just like, you know, they're comparing and you don't have any time to actually go through the context of what that is. Right.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen where they just take your proposal, go to somebody else. Hey, I had somebody else say they could do it for X amount. Can you do it for that?
Yep.
No, I'm not.
So, you put yourself in a bad position at that point. Yeah. 100%. I mean, and let us know in the comments too, guys. I know we have some people on the live. Drop some comments on where you're tuning in from. Drop some comments on where you're at. And then if you have sent proposals to people before, or you've just simply, gone over that on the call, like let us know in the comments here. But Hakeem, the sales king over there, tell us a little bit about like, why would we want to go over the price on the actual phone call with them? Like, why would we want to do that?
Yeah. And this is just piggybacking off of what Evan was saying there, where again, the minute they hop off the call, you lose any sort of authority or leverage that was built up. Because I mean, it's just making it way more harder than it needs to be. It's like you can dig a hole with a shovel or you can dig it with a spoon. Obviously, it's like you may get the outcome, but it's going to take you way, way longer than it otherwise would have. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like you're just guessing at that point. You leave them off the call, and then all the hesitations, the worries, fears, you're not there to advise them on that. And more times than not, you might put your heart and soul into a proposal, but we all know, like on this live, people who are here, they're not even going to read half the stuff. They're going to go right down to where the dollars and cents are at the bottom of the page. With no context.
And I think it's selfish at the end of the day too, because it's like, for us, it's like, oh, well, we want to avoid the salesy stuff. But if you really cared about your clients and helping them get to where they want to be, you would help them understand how this could actually solve their problems at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And doing that over the phone and over an actual Zoom call is where you're going to see more success, because you just send it. You're like, it's kind of lazy where you just send a proposal and you don't do anything. Right. And it's just like, oh, shoot, like, let's just send this off and hope and pray that they say yes, when like you could be leaving tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table by not pushing to get that person on the call and then talking them through how this is going to help them. Evan, I know before you jumped in with us, because obviously you're a coach now, before you were actually a client of ours, like, was there a specific example where you had maybe sent a proposal to somebody instead of walking them through it on the call, where maybe didn't go the way you wanted?
I don't think specifically, obviously, because I'm trying to get the coaching that I needed to at the time.
Yep.
Right? It would be disadvantageous to shoot myself in the foot like that. But I know that I've definitely done it before, right? And I guess one thing too that I just want to say, since we're talking about proposals, like I don't think anybody here is saying that like creating a proposal is a bad idea.
Right.
Right. Like, no, you should have that, but it's just how you give it to them is the point that we're trying to make here. But I think I said this, it was maybe last week in our last live when we talked, but I think the only time I would ever send proposals now is if it's the work that I don't mind if I don't get it. Right? It was like, if this is just like a cherry on top that it's like, I don't know, like if it's just cool, my Stripe account gets hit and boom, and there's the payment link and whatever.
Yep.
Fine. I'm fine with that. But if it's somebody that I know that I want to work with because I, know that it's going to work for them and all of this, then yeah, I want to go through that process of explaining, or not really explaining it, because shouldn't be explaining the proposal. It's what is this going to do for you in the long run? That is kind of what you're walking them through.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are selling the video, not selling the outcome of what the video does. Right. So like we need to figure out what is the actual problem we're solving. And I've said this time and time again, but I'm going to keep saying it. You're selling the vacation. You're not selling the plane ride to get there. Right. And so like, you want to make sure that you are selling the vacation, not the plane ride to get there, not the amount of time it takes, the types of deliverables you're going to be giving them. And it's like Delta doesn't sell you the plane ride. They sell you that vacation. They sell you that outcome, right? So we want to focus in outcome sales, not on just specific deliverables and how amazing the content looks. Yeah,
no, I completely agree.
100%. Let's see a couple questions here. Pull this up. We got Josh from Texas. We got Bernard from Cincinnati, Ohio. I know some people are trickling in here. So we're talking about pricing, proposals. We're talking about any sort of sales objections you might have with your video business. So if you have those questions, drop them below, and we would love to chat with you about those and any questions you may have. But Evan, what are some things that you've run into recently? Just some things top of mind for you.
I mean, this is kind of akin to a proposal, but it's like the whole, like, let me see your portfolio kind of thing like that right now. Like I don't technically have like a live portfolio website, anything like that. There's a few aspects of my website, my sales funnels, and my social medias where you can go find, like you can go to my YouTube channel and see everything that I've done before. But I just now, like if somebody says, why do you want to, or they want to see my portfolio, I direct them where they can go do that, but I have to dig into why, like that's the thing. It's kind of like wanting to see a proposal. Like there's something past that they really don't have answered yet, and that's what they're trying to figure out. And they're just trying to figure out how they can stop talking to you right now.
Right. It's a smokescreen to get off the call. Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of smokescreens to kind of get off the call, Hakeem, this might be a good question for you. We had someone ask, like, what do I do if a client says I'm too expensive? What would you say? Like, what would kind of be your first thing you'd go down if somebody's like, Hakeem, I love this video project, but I just think it's too expensive. Like, what would you say to them? How would you tackle that?
The first thing to keep in mind with that is expensive does not definitively mean it's expensive, because is it expensive in like, I think it's the value you're portraying is just not what I'm looking for. I don't think it's worth what it is. That's one conversation to have. Or maybe the other conversation is they do see the value, but logistically you're offering them for 10 grand and they only have 3, and you have to work out some sort of a payment structure.
Right.
So in terms of something being expensive, then it's just more of a case of getting clarity with the client of like, well, like aside from the money, like, do they actually believe the thing that you just spent 45 minutes presenting them?
Yep.
Something that they actually feel like will get them, which also ties into the whole proposal route, because it's a lot easier to get off a call and send somebody an email with a attached cover, that, rather than sitting there and having the uncomfortable.
But that's easier, Hakeem. Why wouldn't I just do that, man? It's so much easier to just like send it. Yeah, no, 100%. I think you nailed it on the head. It's figuring out what actually is going on. So if they said something like, hey, it's just too expensive, you want to figure out like what specifically do you feel like is too expensive, or could you tell me more about like what this actually, what's behind that question? Because then if you can get down to that, then you can address the concern head on and actually figure out what that concern is. And I think a lot of people are losing objections or losing deals because they don't know how to handle that objection.
I would just keep it simple. How do you mean?
How do you mean? Yeah. What do you like? How do you mean by too expensive? And usually it's like a lot of times, and Hakeem, you could probably talk about this too, but like a lot of times it's not, if you've done everything right in the pitch, it's not a value problem. It is maybe a logistical thing, and they're just too scared to talk about that. Like maybe talk a little bit about that. Like how often do you see logistics versus like they just don't see the value if you've pitched well?
Yeah, and again, granted, you've done all the work at the top end of the conversation. More times than not, it really shouldn't be value, because also it's just naturally human beings, we like to protect our own ego. Sometimes you might go, "Hey, I'm charging you $20K for this project," but they feel embarrassed to say they don't have $20K. But you can't just assume anything. You know absolutely nothing, and you're never going to know until you actually asked the questions. Yep. So it's it can go one of both of those ways, but you're never going to know until you physically ask the client, like, hey, like when you say it's expensive, do you mean it's like based on what I've laid out for you, you don't feel like it's worth the $20K and there's just something you feel like is missing? Yep. Or do you feel like this will actually genuinely help you get your business to XYZ, but you don't have $20K liquid? And then they go, oh no, like Eric, I just don't have $20K. Then you go, okay, great. We're on the same side of the table. The value is there. Now let's just work together and figure out a payment plan that's going to allow them to move forward. But I think the big issue is sometimes people don't even ask, which is crazy enough. You're just kind of just guessing, which then goes back into the whole this beautiful looking proposal with all these nice images. Like that's going to like push them that remaining 10%.
And it won't. Yeah, no, you're right. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said a lot of people don't ask, because like people will say, hey, I'm just not interested, or hey, we can't do this right now. And a lot of people don't even ask, like, yeah, no worries. That's not an issue. Agree with them first. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, do you mind just giving me more clarity on where you're coming from? Because a lot of times, like, we've closed a lot of sales from just asking and getting clarity on the issue and working with the client to find a solution, right? Because if you can sit on the same side of the table as them and say like, hey, let me sit on the same side of the table. Let's talk about this. Let's figure out if we can actually help you get to where you want to be. Then it's not a you against them slimy sales process thing. It's how can I put my arm around your shoulder? And sorry guys, I haven't fixed this cord since the last live.
Bro.
So. it's how can I put my, hold on.
I'll drive one over.
You're going to drive one over. I need to borrow my friend's gear, apparently. It's put your arm around their shoulder and say like, hey, how can I help get you to where you want to be if you feel like this is the right solution for you? But the other part of that is like, it's the solution. And so like, if you're not diagnosing a problem and actually showing them how this can help them get to where they want to be, then it's not going to make any sense. Like they're not going to invest in it because it's not actually helping them. You know what I mean? Let's go over some questions here. We'll hit some of these in just a second. But yeah, no, I mean, it's figuring out how can I solve a problem for the client, and then how can I show them that this is going to help them get to where they want to be.
The other aspect of that as well that comes to mind is a lot of times, and this is the feedback I get from people who hop on our calls, but a lot of people seem like to think that the client giving them an objection or concern is like a personal attack on them, or they just get very combative.
Yep.
So it's also the other component of like objections are literally just concerns at the end of the day, and it's more so recognizing that and not taking it as like punching them in the face and getting aggressive with it, or taking it like, oh, like they're saying no because they think my work doesn't look good. But it's like, well, no, the work may not be the issue, but it's like this person genuinely, you're asking them for XYZ to work with you and they don't have it. So it's just, that's the other aspect. I think some people, they
taking it personally. Yeah, you can't take it personally. I mean, like, how many times have you gotten a no? How many times have I gotten a no? When I'm so, like, we all get no's. It's a part of the game. It's normal. You can't take it personally. Like Evan, Ethan, everybody's gotten no's. I can't even count how many times I've gotten a no, right? But it's like, it's not something that's personal to you. It's just, you have to dig deeper. Like most people say no before they say yes. And so if it's a fact of like, they want to move forward, a lot of times people will naturally have some sort of concern or question. It's very rare that you get through an entire sales conversation and sales meeting and they're like, great, I'm ready to buy. Here's my credit card. Here's my bank info. Like it's very unlikely that happens. And so you do have to make sure that you are not taking that personally and treating it as a concern, not an objection. And then the other side of that I talked about on Tuesday was like before the price drop, and Hakeem, you might want to talk about this too. Before the price drop, all those things are just small little concerns. After the price drop, they become these big, scary objections, because the minute you let go of that price, you lose all leverage in the conversation, which is also why we don't want to send a proposal, because when you send that proposal, you lose all your leverage in the conversation. The client can then say, too expensive, bye-bye, and then completely ghost you and never talk to you again, right? But Hakeem, how do you work on maybe pre-handling some things before the price, before you go over the project price, versus maybe after that price?
Yeah, the biggest thing about it is like, and again, the way to think about it from a sales perspective, because I know sales seems to have like a stigmatism, particularly like in this industry, where it's not like a slimy way of going about it. You're just having a genuine conversation with somebody. But if you're finding there's certain concerns you're getting after the fact that money's on the table, then it becomes infinitely way more difficult to handle that once that's there, because that's when fight or flight takes place. Where if somebody tells you like, oh, like I had an agency I worked with in the past, the videos were this, that, the other, it wasn't very good, then part of that is it may not be your fault, but it is your problem to like, you could have done a bit more work uphand, where it's like, hey, like before you were talking to us, like, have you worked with an agency before to get video content in place? What have you considered in the past? Because then if you ask whatever you're getting at the end and you formulate it into a question at the front end, then you can really just get all these concerns and things out of the way. Because once money's on the table, that's when the animal brain takes over, and then it just becomes way more difficult. So
it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And if they're like, hey, I worked with an agency in the past, it didn't work out, what happened? Like, dig deep into that. Don't be afraid of going, like, don't shy away from that, because typically whatever happened in that situation is going to be the thing that might kill your deal or might kill the deal for you. And so if something happened, it's like, well, what happened specifically with that? Oh, they never got back to me. The communication sucked. The videographer didn't listen to anything that I wanted him to do, and X, Y, and Z. And then you can pre-handle those and being like, hey, we make sure we have a Slack communication with you. We communicate with you every day, blah, blah, blah. And you're able to alleviate a lot of those issues,
Big time. And then the other component of it as well is, again, when you approach the call, like from more of a doctor frame, more of like you're the detective on the call, just being naturally curious, like the right questions will typically come off of that. Because the reason why somebody might tell you like why I haven't been able to scale my business and all those things are going to be probably the same reason why they don't want to move forward with you. So until you ask them what they're currently doing, what have they done in the past, what do they feel like is keeping them on this side of the bridge versus on this side of the bridge. Once you can have all those puzzle pieces in place, then going into that pitch, like here's the landmines I have to avoid so I don't go back into that. They categorically put me in the same thing as these guys, but then these are the things that can emphasize on them. So a lot of times if you just listen to the client, like they'll tell you what exactly it is that they need. So it's like, if there's anything that anybody will take away from this live, it's be very present with the people on the call and listen to what they're saying, and don't worry about the next thing and the next question after that and the next question after that. And
100%.
That's been a game changer for our entire team across the board. So no different across in this context either. So that's the
I love what you said too. You said that typically the objections that people give are the ones that their clients give them. And you've talked to thousands of video business owners at this point. You've been with us for 2 years at this point. Talked to a lot of people on the enrollment side. And it is very funny because like you'll ask people, you'd be like, what are some of the things that people like, what objections do they give you? And people are like, oh, they say they need to think about it. And then at the end of the call, those people are the same ones who are like, I need to think about it for 2, 3, 4 weeks until I can make a decision either way. And it's funny because like those are the same people who get those types of objections from you. You know what I mean? And so like it really is like you give the objection that you get at the end of the day, and you have to make sure that you're aware of that, because like you attract it sounds so woo-woo, and trust me, like I am not a woo-woo person. Maybe I am, I don't know, but like it's so woo-woo, but the energy you put out is the energy that you get back at the end of the day, right? And so if clients are saying you're too expensive, you're probably not investing in yourself, or you're giving that objection, because people pick up what you put down at the end of the day, Yeah. We have a question on Instagram here. Hey guys, I use Squarespace. Is it okay to show pricing? Still with Squarespace, I would not show pricing. you want to go over the pricing on the call. So never, ever, 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 ever just send them pricing without walking them through it first. Now, if you go through pricing and you go through that and they still have some sort of objection and you try to tackle it at that point, then you can then send that website to them or send that page to them with the actual the pricing on there. But I would not just send them pricing randomly, because price without context has no value. And so like if you're just sending pricing out there, they're just going to look at the price and be like, oh, it's too expensive, or like, I can't afford this right now. And you're going to have a very low close rate with that. But good question, Goliath Worldwide on Instagram. Let's pull up some ones from YouTube. I do not know who My Dirty Sock is. I hope that's a real person. I love this though. It's funny. It reminds me of like Sesame Street or something. Just joined, getting onboarded today. Dirty Sock, if you have an actual name, put the name in, because I know we've had a couple of enrollments today in the program. I'd love to know who you actually are. But that's funny. I love that. Mark says, would a website or landing page be a better investment for an agency under 1 year old? Evan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll answer that one. I would say that a landing page or a funnel would probably be the best thing to set up. When I first started as a master filmmaker student, I didn't have either.
Yep.
First thing that I had was a funnel though. Then I got a full built out website as time went on, and I figured out all the components of the CRM and everything that we're using. So I would say that if you're trying to have some sort of lead magnet or get appointments booked or whatever it is, have a funnel to be able to do that. Yeah. So simple 3 basic steps in a landing page, or 3 basic landing pages there, and then you can worry about building out more of a full website after that's launched and after that's kind of cooking up for you and bringing you leads and doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, a website's good for organic traffic if somebody's searching your name, but it's not what you need to actually start getting booked appointments. And so I didn't have like an official website till I did over $1 million in sales. And so you really don't need that to get started. It's something that's more of a back burner type deal. Hey, Dirty Sock is Sean. What's up, Sean? I think Evan was your account manager. So we're excited to see you inside the program and get you ramped up here. And no worries, you forgot what YouTube account you're on. I don't know what this one's for, but I might switch to the other one. I love it though. We're happy to have you, Sean. Let's see. Have you guys been able to successfully help someone grow a video podcast business using your framework? Ethan, you want to take that? You've worked with 500 clients, I think, at this point. So.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times. I would say, so you're talking about I'm assuming it's for one of your clients, and the answer is yes. But the biggest thing with podcasts is you got to have some kind of offer on the back end, because unless you are like, pumping out, like with podcasts, you got to be in it for the long haul, especially if you don't have something to offer on the back end, because then you're relying on like, YouTube ad monetizations and stuff like that. So you have to have something to offer on the back end, whether it's a product or a service, preferably a service, because you can charge for a service. But long answer short, yes, we have.
Yeah, I know David Tinoco is one of our clients that we've worked with. He's able to scale to, I think, 30, 40K a month right now. He built out a full studio for his clients. He has people come in and record podcasts, and that's kind of his front end offer. And so people come in, they pay 2, 3, 4K a month to get podcasts built for them. And then he has another offer that he sells them on the back end, basically to maximize the LTV, the lifetime value. So he sells them a 2 to 3K a month package, and then he'll upsell them to like a brand video, testimonial content, stuff like that. So absolutely, Stuart. It's just all about the monetization.
Sell the podcast, and then you can sell editing clips on the back end as well.
Well, I know I have a podcast with my wife, right? Like I have a great framework on that offer and how you can actually do that. But no, it's about structuring it to where it makes it easier for them, right? Like, so the framework we use, we get a whole month done within 90 minutes. Like, the client would come in, sit down, everything's already ready to go. Now there can be upsells or whatever to that in terms of like the prep side of things. The way that I would do it, if I was, had a podcast business per se, I would do kind of like a consultant portion of that there. I wouldn't want to script my client's podcast. It would be inauthentic for me to do that for them, but help them through that process. Because if that's something that they want to do, they might not know how to do it. So you can kind of put that in the package there for more value for them. But bringing them in for a 90-minute session and being able to have like an entire month worth of stuff where it has a particular cadence and works for you is relatively easy to set up.
100%. I love that. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question there, Stuart. Really good question on that. We got Sean is back on his normal account. Dude, I want to know, how do you have 300,000 followers on TikTok for My Dirty Sock? What kind of content do you post?
Dirty
This is
socks.
crazy.
Yeah,
Dirty socks.
Just dirty socks.
I love it, dude. I love it. We got a couple questions on Instagram. Goliath Worldwide said, I cannot wait to get in the program. Dude, we're happy to have you. Hop on in. My clients are currently all good with $300 photo shoots, and I'm like, who has 2,500 for retainers? Yeah, so 2,500. So that's something I want to touch on too, because like if you're doing $300 photo shoots, then your market or your avatar is probably personal people, like people who are like just want the photos for personal reasons. When you're doing $2,500 retainers, like you're doing those for businesses. They're for people who actually want to make money off of the content that you're creating for them.
Yeah,
and so like when you can tie yourself into a make money outcome, you can charge a lot more for that, obviously, because you're able to generate revenue for the business. And maybe Evan, you want to talk about that a little bit as well, but it's like the difference between doing music videos and maybe weddings, which is more of like a B2C offer, business to consumer, where you have more of a B2B offer going to businesses and helping them grow and make more money.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we're talking about photo shoots, it's kind of a different realm, right? Because it might be a little difficult to figure out how to tie in photography to, you know, some kind of tangible result down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, you could maybe do it for like ads or something like that, but still videos, I think, are going to be the better conversion mechanism for you if you're talking about running ads. But, you know, it could be something to like, I don't know, let's say it's a medium-sized business and you're like doing like a culture shift.
Yep.
Right. And like you have to, you know, you have to get into that mind frame. It might not be directly correlating to, you know, the bottom line, but if, you know, the culture shift comes through having better, you know, headshots and whatever for the sales team,
yep,
we want to do better, right? It's kind of a mindset thing for them. And that's kind of how you can correlate it there. Photos would be a little hard to do, but yeah, it's all about how does the thing that you're making translate for them into money somewhere downstream.
Yeah, I mean, there's three outcomes, right? It's health, wealth, or relationships. And so like your offer needs to solve one of those. Like health would be relationships would be weddings, right? So like if I want to highlight my relationship, I'm going to buy a wedding film, I'm going to hire a wedding videographer because it's a relationship outcome. Whereas wealth is going to be more of businesses. They want to make more money with the content that you're creating. So the quicker you can tie that gap in of where they are to where they want to be, the easier it's going to be to make that money off of it. Alex says, feel free to ignore if too off topic, but I have a reel from 10 years ago working with an ad agency, but none of the work is owned by me. Is there still a way to leverage that to get my own clients? Evan, you want to take this one?
I mean, I think it's just basically it's the informational side of like you've worked with large agencies before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the back end in terms of owning and whatever you're allowed to use in your own marketing. If you don't have authority to use it, then you probably can't use it in an outbound marketing system. Right. But in a private setting, on a sales call or in an email or whatever, if they're dead set on seeing your capabilities as an artist, then you can use it in those regards. But I think it's more of the information of I've been doing it for X amount of time, yep, which correlates to how well I can transition this into your current situation.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Crushed it. Yeah, for sure, dude. Any other like topics, things we want to talk about, guys? And if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. We like to go off of your questions so we don't get too off topic and we can cover some stuff that you guys actually want to know about. So make sure to drop those below. But Evan, anything else that comes top of mind for you? Like what are some things that you're working on? You're working with our clients right now. What kind of things are you working on?
So right now I'm trying to sprinkle in for more people. I was just talking to, I think it was Simon over on Slack. And he was talking about, you know, the editor that I hooked him up with and all of that, and how they've got this game plan of action into making more content for him for his Instagram.
Yep.
And I was like, you should be making content for yourself as a business on Instagram. I mean, you're asking people to buy content from you, right? So like you have to practice what you preach. You kind of alluded to like investing in yourself earlier when you were mentioning like if you're not doing that, then people are going to pick up on that, right? So would you buy something from me if I wasn't actively trying to do it myself? Probably not. Which is why I'm really heavily invested in content for myself and have been for what's that, 2 years now, I guess, that I've been like consistently doing it.
I remember when you started, dude. We were talking about it. You were like, "Hey,
yeah.
we're gonna."
It was so weird. I was scrolling through. I was looking for some past stuff for a carousel post that I made earlier on Instagram, but I was going through everything, and it was like I got to the point where it was like right before Master Filmmaker started for me as a client, and I was like, "Geez, this is just so crazy to see like the growth and whatever." And you know, I did a content shoot. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. And I still sometimes get off of those, and I'm like, was that worth it? Right. And then like I give it to my editor and he gives it back, or I do a little bit of editing and things that I want to do. And it's like, hell yeah, that was worth it. Like it came out the way that I wanted to. It's got the messaging that I wanted to have.
Well, personal brands are the most personal and business brands are the most important things. They're the things that are actually going to survive. You know, AI can replace a lot of things. And I know a lot of people are kind of concerned about that. But if you have a personal brand and you are like people want to work with you because you're you, no one can replace you. And so like, if you're worried about, like, you can always take your personal brand and go in different directions with it, but like no one can replace you. No one can be you. Right. So like, if you're not creating content, documenting your process, it doesn't have to be crazy stuff. You don't have to be like you don't have to be like Sean over here who has 300,000 followers, which like is awesome. Right. Like I don't have 300,000 followers. So like, obviously Sean is doing something right. But like, even if you have a small amount of following, you don't need a lot of followers to turn those people into sales. Right.
No, you don't.
It's if you're selling something for a high ticket amount of money, like 15, 20, 30, 40K, like for your video packages, you only need 1 to 2 to maybe 3 of those people to convert every single week, every single month for you to make a decent amount of money. So like, it doesn't need to be huge. You just need to start. And like, what were some of the things that you were kind of having to overcome when you were just trying to start?
So when I first started, like I'll start. So when I very first started, this was like before Master Filmmaker as a client.
Yeah.
I was trying my hand at long form YouTube content. This was right at the tail end of COVID.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I honestly only really did it to get over camera shyness. That's the whole reason I started. But I was like, what do I get on camera? What do I talk about? Well, the only thing that I naturally knew was cameras, gear, making videos, whatever. So I was like, let's talk about that. Quickly realized after going through Master Filmmaker as a student that my messaging there on that end had to change a little bit, because I wasn't trying to relate to gearheads or, people as videographers or whatever. I was trying to talk to business owners. So I had to change my approach there. But as I started with Master Filmmaker and it started taking up more of my time and getting all the systems and the process and everything implemented, my long form stuff kind of stopped. But then this is when I really got inundated with reels and short form content. So from there, I would just try to tell myself to make one thing a day.
Yep.
And at first it really didn't start off too much with like me on like, I wasn't turned around and like, selfieing myself or anything like that.
Yeah.
I would do like funny little quirky things with my kids, but I would try and tie it back to like my kids were like business owners and I would ask them silly questions, because most business owners will answer real questions in a silly way, like much like a child would. Right. So I was kind of trying to play on that. But then I got just a little bit more used to turning the camera around and I would still just try to hold myself to like something everyday cadence. It was not pretty at first, even as a videographer myself, like I was doing it on my phone, not a lot of fancy captions. I was doing what was easy. I was using in-app stuff. Yep. And then I came across batching, right? And like really writing down and scripting and formulating ideas. When I say scripting, I mean highlighting, overviewing. I don't really like to per se script stuff where I can. It's usually a waste of time to get a high level of what you want to do. But started batching stuff, came up with the cadence that worked for me, 1 day a month. Then I was second day
being consistent with it.
It was a way to figure out like how much volume I wanted to do at an economical way that I could make it happen. Yeah. And I mean, I think at the beginning it started out as 2 days. Now it's 1 day.
Yep. I think you said something interesting too. Because this is something I did too. A lot of videographers and video business owners, they make content that other videographers and video business owners want to watch. And so like when you're making content about gear and about production company stuff, you have to think about who cares about the content. Yeah. Is it other videographers or is it my target market? Yeah. And so if you're going after, say, medical companies and you want to create content for them on a retainer, you want to make content that appeals to medical companies. So you want to talk about problems that they have, issues that they have. You don't want to be talking about the like actual creation process all the time, because they don't care about that. They care about how does it solve their business problems.
Yeah.
And their business problems would be getting more leads, getting more clients, getting more patients in the door.
Yeah.
Right.
A BTS video is not bad here and there, where it's like, this is how easy it is to actually do it. But you know,
our clients hire us for producer director capability, and we hire local production companies. Do most of your clients maintain their own production gear? I can touch on that a little bit, and then Evan, you can jump in if you want. It really just depends on what. So if you're just doing producer director, you're more of like, it sounds like you're probably more of like a individual or like a freelancer, which there's nothing wrong with, but it sounds like you might be more of like a freelancer versus like a production company. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you're not doing the production, then it makes no sense for you to have the gear if you're hiring a production company. Now, if you are someone where you're like, hey, I want to partner with a production company and make my own company, right, where we do directing and production all in one thing, then that would make more sense to where when you acquire that production company, you would then have the gear that they have in there as well. Evan, I don't know if you have any notes on that, but or if
no, I mean, I own most of my equipment. I do rent things here and there where I need to, but I mean, as the whole package, I own everything under my own.
Yeah, and that's more like if you're a full production agency. If you are just directing, that's more of like it's just you, and the business is kind of based around you specifically.
It's like a broker almost.
Yeah, you're almost like a broker. So like either if your model's working for you there, then keep doing that. But if you're like, hey, I want to expand my model to where we're a production company that does everything, then I would say maybe we, obviously acquire a production company or partner with somebody where you can do that. Tattoo make art now on your arm. Yeah, for sure. I got you. Hakeem, I know you talk to a lot of people. What are some kind of concerns or things that people bring up that might be like questions or stuff that they have as they're talking with you on these calls, as they're having these chats? And I'm putting you on the spot. So if you need a minute to think, I can circle back.
Well, I would say one thing that stands out for sure is a lot of people in this space, they're so they're so focused on like, hey, I got to do good work. Nobody really thinks about the business end, which is the marketing and the sales. So the big conversation we have on our meetings is just like they want to grow their business, but they think that running ads won't work for them, or taking sales calls is slimy, or I'm not representing my brand in the highest light possible. So I think that's maybe something that you guys can kind of riff off there in terms of the mindset of what it takes to go from being like a creative to being somebody who actually runs a business and doesn't have the business running them every day because they're running all over the place. So that would be the big thing that sticks out to me if that's something that you've noticed as well. People who initially come in on board on the program and have to acclimate to having to.
Well, it's working in your business versus working on your business, right? And we talk about this all the time, but if you want to work in your business, if literally all you want to do is shoot video and edit, then go get a job somewhere and be an in-house videographer or editor. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think some people are like, "Ooh, I don't want to do that." It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's completely fine. If all you want to do is be an artist, go do that. That's great. But like, if you want to buy your time back, have financial freedom, have like the freedom to do what you want when you want by hiring a team to buy back your time, then you have to build a business, because the business is the asset, and you're able to hire people and plug people in where you need to, where you don't have to do all the work yourself, right? And so I think that's just a question you need to ask yourself. It's like, it's the Italian shoe cobbler who does everything himself, and he's an amazing craftsman, right? Versus Nike. Nike's a business. They're not like a custom shoe manufacturer, right? They are a business at the end of the day. They're not somebody who is going to have the same maybe level of quality as an Italian shoe cobbler, but the Italian shoe cobbler is bottlenecked by his own time every single day, right? So I think it's just asking yourself, like, do you want to run a business? Do you want to build a business? Because like, we're here to help people build businesses that buy back their time, so they're not 80 years old freelancing, DPing on set, right? Like, I didn't want to do that. And so like, that's the world I came from, and I can only talk about my own experience there. So, yeah. What other things do you get typically, Hakeem? Like, what are some other kind of questions or things that you you get from people, or like maybe some common misconceptions or like, you know, belief issues or things like that that people have when they're speaking with you?
Yeah, the big thing I would just say is people trying to put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And what I mean by that is they might say, hey, I recognize that I need to get better at sales. You know, I'm not getting enough clients across the line, but instead of putting in the sweat equity to get better at the skill set that is sales and converting more leads, they think their solution to their business is, let me go hire a salesperson off the street and cross my fingers that they're gonna.
This is, dude, I'm about to go off on this one. Evan probably go off on this too, and so will Ethan. So Evan, why can't I just go hire a salesperson to do, like, I don't want to deal with marketing and sales. Why can't I just go hire someone to do
Sure. So I look at it, I'll look at it from not maybe so much of a sales side, but like talk about, I get a lot of people ask me like, can I just hire somebody to run my ads for me?
Yeah.
Like, right. And it's like, I mean, yeah, you can, but until you know at least a little bit about how to go about navigating those waters, you will never know if you're getting taken advantage of. What's the benchmark of what actual success looks like there? Like if I didn't know anything and they were just coming through and saying like, yeah, your ads everything's running smoothly and it's great. And
you start spending $10,000 a day. It'll fix everything.
But, you know, I mean, yeah, you can feel something in the air might not be right, but if they're telling you that everything's going good, then who am I to say that it's not, right? So it's kind of one of those things is how I look at it.
How would I know? Yeah, it's like how would you know if they're doing it right if you've never done it? Like here's my philosophy. You need to learn the skill first. You need to understand it at a decent enough level, and then you now have the right to delegate it. But if you don't know how to run your business, you can't hire somebody to run your business because you're just going to get a job at that point. Like there's no way.
I have another one that's kind of the same.
Ooh, yeah.
It's kind of in the same realm. So I was having a chat with this guy and we were talking and he was like, you know, why can't I just hire somebody in-house to like work at the company here with me? And I'm like, you can, but do you know what you're hiring for? Like he doesn't know what he's supposed to ask in that hiring process to see what they even know. What are they going to do for them? Any of those things. It's like, so that's where me coming in as somewhat of a consultant, like, if you want to do that, cool. I can consult with you for 3 weeks or whatever to find the right hire for you. This is what you need to look for. Right. But they don't really think about that. They see the big prices in when we give the packages and they're like, oh yeah. And they think they're trying to scramble for other alternatives, but they really don't think about the other pitfalls that the other alternatives have.
I've had so many people we've talked to and they're like, dude, I'm just going to go, I'm going to go hire a salesperson first. Hakeem's heard this before. Don't we love that one? It's so good. I'm going to go hire a salesperson first. Couple problems with that. A, you don't know how to sell your own service. That's a big problem. How are you gonna train the salesperson? B, you don't have any leads coming in. Like you can't just have your sales team cold calling people. It's not gonna work, right? They're gonna quit. I promise you. I've had a lot of clients. They're gonna quit. Hakeem would quit if I made him cold call all day, right? Exactly. So like you can't have that because there's no opportunities for them. And also like a salesperson is not your saving grace. They're not somebody who's just gonna come in and magically make you money. That's not how it works.
They're in the interview process. They're going to interview you a little bit too and see.
Yeah. Hey, how many leads do you have coming in?
What do you want to read they're stepping into? How much can I expect to make? How much do your clients pay you? How many do you get per day?
Yep. We don't have any clients yet, or we have a couple clients, but we haven't really figured out how to get them yet. No salesperson is going to join because they have no way to make money. And this is something that I got from, if you know who Matt Ryder is, but like Matt Ryder talks about, you have to have systems. Like amazing businesses are built on amazing systems, and then you plug people into those systems. But if you don't have a system for getting leads, getting calls, getting clients, there's literally no way you're going to have a salesperson just plug in and make money. They're going to quit. They're going to struggle. They're not going to make you any money no matter what they tell you. Or this is the one I love. They're going to say, just pay me $5,000 a month, no commission. I don't want to make any commission. I just want you to pay me a base. And then you're going to pay them $5,000 a month and they're not going to get anything for you because there's no way for them to get deals outside of cold calling. And like cold calling can work, but it sucks.
It doesn't replace It doesn't replace marketing.
It doesn't replace marketing. If you don't know how to run your marketing department, learn how to do that, which is obviously what we help our clients with. Learn the systems, and then you can start delegating to other people. But if you fundamentally don't want to run a business or you don't want to learn marketing and sales, That's running a business. I hate to break it to you, and I'm just going to be really blunt on this.
It's every business in the world.
Every business is built on three things. It's marketing, sales, fulfillment. That's it. If you do not want to learn marketing and sales and you just want to do fulfillment, go work on a fulfillment team at another business.
That's the other thing that comes to mind of people who want to, you bring in salespeople, but then you don't have much marketing to begin with. I mean, it's again, it's all about like the people in the vehicle. Whereas like you can get the world's best NASCAR driver, but you put that guy in a Honda Civic with 2 flat tires, right? That guy is coming in last place every single time. So like you can.
It doesn't matter how good he is. I could have the best salesperson in the world.
So you don't have the volume to back that. So any salesperson worth their salt is not going to stick around if you give them 2 leads on a monthly basis. But also at the same time, it's like if you have good marketing in place, but you don't want to be the person who optimizes the sales process and you expect somebody else to figure it out for you, then you can't be upset if they don't work out. Because the biggest mishire that you can make in your company is a salesperson who doesn't work out. That's just a lot of lost revenue, a lot of lost cash.
What about Hakeem? What if I said, hey, I want to hire an agency first? I've never run marketing before, but I want to hire an agency to do it for me. Why is that not a good idea?
I mean, you definitely could, but then what happens 60 days into that relationship? The guy goes, oh, our company's going belly up. We have to close the doors on our business.
Right. That, or an agency is only going to help you run ads and get traffic. If your offer sucks, if you have no offer, you haven't validated an offer, no agency is going to work with you. Or if they do work with you, they're just going to try to take your money because and it's not actually going to help you. But if you don't know if you don't have an offer that's validated, like you've sold it at least 10 to 15 times, then you don't have an offer. Like you can't start running ads. You can't start marketing. You have to start with the offer. So it goes offer, inbound system, then the sales, and then fulfillment. But if you don't have that offer dialed in, then I mean, what are you going to do? Like you can hire an agency. They're just not going to work out. Right.
Well, it's also like what Evan said. If you don't know anything about marketing or ads or any of that, and you don't know if they're,
hey man, we're doing great. Yeah. It's like, we're doing okay. You just need to spend more on ads and then you'll be good. And then you're just like, I mean, what a horrible place to be. Yeah. Like you're screwed at that point because you don't know if they're doing a good job or they're not doing a good job. They're just telling you what you want to hear, maybe, and then you're just that's where you're at, right?
You have to know enough to be dangerous.
You have to be exactly. Rough Cuts over here says, how do I discuss pricing with a client in a way that doesn't split hairs for a complete itemized breakdown? So I think he's asking like, how do I go over pricing and they don't ask me for an itemized breakdown? Evan, you want to take that one?
I think that just goes back to, I think this was the last live I was on, but it's just value-based pricing.
Yeah.
Right. Understanding what the potential is that your system and structure or your package can be constructed to make them back. Right. And basing it off of that. That variance goes through like what industry and different things like that are, because, if we're trying to sell $20 shampoos, right, there's a difference between that and landing a $2.3 million house commission,
right,
that gets you whatever it gets you, right? Sure. So it's just understanding what the value is going to be for them, because it kind of goes back to like your close of like, well, honestly, do you think that if in the next 3 months of us working together, you're not going to close at least one person that's going to pay for what we're doing this entire time? You think that's going to happen? And then they will come to terms with whether or not they believe that that's going to happen for them. And then you kind of go from there.
Yeah. And the other side of it too is like, and this is something we help our clients with. It's a longer conversation around what you should charge, how that looks. Like everything's custom, it's different. But when you do present price, you give them 3 options. So like, let's say you have a 3 month, a 6 month, and a 12 month. You just have 3 month, 6 month, 12 month. You give them the amount of videos you're gonna be giving them over that time period, and then a price. So if I'm just making
brand video, $3,000.
Yeah, you don't do brand video, $3,000, or you don't do brand video pre-production, $2,000, production, $1,000, post-production, $4,000. Like you don't do that.
Well,
you give them one price for everything. Go ahead, Ethan.
I was gonna say same thing with crew as well. Yeah. We were, DP, PA, like everybody's like, oh, can we just take the gaffer out, and get $2,000?
Can we just do pre-production? Our team will edit it. It's not a big deal. You just get people who nickel and dime you at that point. It's kind of like, does anyone here like Flying Spirit? Maybe Hakeem does. I don't know.
Hey, I've been on a couple of Spirit flights, and I was not mad.
I'm gonna wreck Spirit right now. It sucks. But like you pay $50 for a ticket, and then you have to pay like $100 for your bag, and then you have to pay like $2,000 for snacks or some shit. I don't know what it is, right? And then it's just like they're nickel and diming you for everything. So like I get pissed off from that when I go through an experience like that. Your clients don't want to know how much everything costs. They want one price for a certain amount of things, and they want to know that it's going to get them the outcome that they want at the end of the day.
That's why I fly Delta.
That's why I fly Delta. Actually, I'm going to get that on a hat or like tattooed on my neck or something. That's why I fly Delta right there. But it really is. You give them one price. You never want to tell them how much everything costs, because that's not the customer's business. That's your business, right? That's where you make your margin. It's none of their business. So, any other questions, guys? We're going to wrap up here in just a minute. Hakeem, any other kind of misconceptions you get? You talk to everyone on the front lines. So just curious if you have anything else.
I mean, we've hit all the main points here. Trying to think, but
yeah, for sure. If you think of anything, just let me know. But yeah, that's super helpful. Thanks, guys. A lot of my clients request video production services without having their systems in place and successfully maximize them. Yeah, for sure. So you just want to say like, hey, here's how much this is total. This is what that looks like. And then this is package A, package B, package C. You give them those prices. That's it. End of story, right? They don't need to know how much each one costs. It makes no sense. Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, yeah, this is just some of our team here. Everyone else is working today, so we got to get back to work here and help our amazing clients land some more deals. And if you guys need anything, feel free to book a call. There should be a link below this video to book a call or book a demo with our team. You might be speaking with Hakeem or Danny or Sam or Jose or Evan or someone like that. And we're happy to help, see if we can help you scale your video business. So with that being said, guys, if you need anything else, just let us know. We love you too, Rough Cuts. We're excited to see you close some deals, man. Thanks again. You got it, guys. Absolutely. And we will see you guys next week. Peace.